A compelling detective story, a cloak and dagger action, and a romantic drama, all these stories were taken from real life. The history of Kazakhstan is inseparable from the world history. Reflections on history, our version.
From the heart of the mountains and steppes. Look into my heart. I know it isn't easy. However, if you manage so, you'll see love and sincerity. You know, love without sincerity has no meaning, and the same refers to sincerity without love too. From an ancient legend. Strangely enough, these poetic lines are free interpretations of a legend about flowers, ordinary tulips. However, they may not be so ordinary. Although at first glance these flowers seem quite simple, they have a secret, which attracts attention not only of biologists. Tulips are a symbol of spring. We're proud of our tulips. They're in our gene pool. Well, a tulip can be treated as both a tulip and a chalice. There are no wild tulips growing in the Netherlands. Chapter 1. Tulip Fever. The steppe is full of tulips or flowers. The sweet-voiced nightingales, oh, your majesty, may your splendor be always glorious. May your cheeks have the color of tulip happiness. From the Ubadila Nameh by Mir Muhammad Amin-i Bukhari. The Kingdom of the Netherlands has been the center of world trade in tulips for 4 centuries. Tulips are literally everywhere here. The city of Amsterdam is full of them. You can see them placed in shop windows, they grow on streets, and are sold as souvenirs because Amsterdam is considered the home of tulips. However, it's just a myth. Before we dispel this myth, let's talk about tulip mania, which is also called the most beautiful financial pyramid in the world, or a flower plague. The Netherlands, and first of all Amsterdam, were setting the scene. Actually, the most interesting tulip species which started it all was Tulipa gesneriana, which was also known as Tulipa schrenki. This tulip was the main cause of contention. The first flowers were secretly brought from Vienna by Carolus Clusius, a botanist. They bloomed in the 1950s in Holland. Tulip fever started only 30 years later. Everyone bought these tulips, and as a result, Holland surpassed the other countries because people in this country invested more in science and managed to grow better species. They even issued tulip shares. If people didn't have enough money, they could buy a part of a future flower. A tulip bulb could help them improve their financial status significantly or become the reason for imprisonment. A young soldier confused a tulip bulb with an onion and ate it. Then it turned out that the bulb cost a sum of money which was enough to buy a year's supply of food for the whole army. As a result, the soldier was punished severely.
За год кормили целую эту армию. То есть практически он получил огромное наказание за это.
Since he didn't get poisoned, he must have eaten Tulipa gregi bulb. These bulbs are edible and similar to potatoes but sweet. Incidentally, they have been used in Kazakh traditional medicine to treat pulmonary diseases since ancient times. There is a Tulipa regeli and Tulipa gregi among our wild tulips still growing in the Tian Shan Mountains, the Kordai Pass, and in the Shymkent area. There was a stir in the Netherlands. First, they sold real flowers, but later started selling just promises. There were up to 10 million tulip receipts in the country. The most expensive flower was the Semper Augustus tulip, which was red and white, striped. Its cost equaled the cost of 21 kilograms of gold or 12 acres of land. Once it was possible to sell 3 tulip bulbs and get enough money to buy a house in Amsterdam. Unfortunately, now 2 bulbs cost only 10 euros. Tulip fever ended quite quickly. On February the 3rd, 1637, was Black Tulip Day. Tulip bulb prices fell by 100 times by the end of the year. A lot of people went bankrupt. Due to these pretty bulbs, we can even say gorgeous flowers, the financial system of the Netherlands was ruined. Nevertheless, the coat of arms of this country is decorated with a tulip, which continues to symbolize prosperity, sufficiency, and power. It isn't surprising because the flower symbolized these things in its homeland a long time before the flower fever began. Chapter 2. The Worship of Beauty. The flower sovereign's tent was set up in a meadow on the steppe. Stand up, let's go there to complain about sadness. The cloud of April has spread its cover across the azure sky, and the tulip has spread a ruby carpet beneath the emerald umbrella. From the Tariq-i-Rashidi by Mirza Mohammed Haidar. Let us suppose the Dutch story started about 500 years ago while people living in the area of Kazakhstan and neighboring regions knew about tulips, loved them, and worshipped their beauty, both 100 and up to 1,000 years ago. Where did tulips take root? Or bulbs, to be exact. Representatives of various royal families wanted to have this flower. The coat of arms of the rulers of the Ottoman Empire and its capital Istanbul were decorated with it. Tulips are like turbans. The Turkic people wear such turbans, and the tulip word was derived from it. It was the favorite flower of the beautiful and not very beautiful residents of the harem, which incidentally was situated here in the Topkapi Palace. The concubines and sultans' wives grew new species, thinking that the more beautiful the flowers would be, the longer their lord would love them. The first time tulips were brought from Turkey was over 450 years ago. An Austrian ambassador brought the bulbs from the gardens of Suleiman the Magnificent to his emperor. From there they were brought to the Netherlands. Tulips did not grow in the Netherlands before. They were brought here from Turkey, and they had been brought to Turkey from Persia. However, how had they appeared in Persia? The Asian steppes attracted Turkish nomads. When carrying out raids and trading, they discovered patches of wild flowers spreading from the Tian Shan Mountains to the Caspian Sea. In the late 11th century, the Seljuk Turks went to the west, passing through Iran, Mesopotamia, Syria, and then conquered Anatolia. Serpil Bagoji, Ankara University. Actually explains how the flowers appeared in Persia or present-day Iran. They had been taken there in transit. It's impossible to hide the surprise at how close the areas which seemed so far away at first. The real home of tulips is in Kazakhstan, southern Kazakhstan to be precise, and neighboring areas of other Central Asian countries. Anna Ivashenko, biologist, explains that tulips have finished blossoming earlier this year. She's been struggling to protect every bud for 40 years. It is the Ile-Alatau National Park in Kaskalin Gorge. There are the best patches of Tulipa ostrovskiana in this gorge. There are no wildflowers at all in the Netherlands, while in the park there are 6 species out of 40 growing only in Kazakhstan. Tulips have been growing in Kazakhstan for over 1 million years. According to some researchers, the first tulips appeared on the coast of the relic Tethys Sea, which was in the center of present-day Eurasia, about 20 million years ago. The ancient flowers growing near the sea were huge and multiflorous. Then the sea disappeared. The tulips became much smaller and acclimatized to the harsher mountain climate. Chapter 3. The Happiness of Tulips' Colors. When tulips were flowering, you moved to a flower bed. look for a brook, hold a feast together with roses for a moment, and tell your secret to the great beauty. From the Tariq-i-Rashidi by Mirza Muhammad Haidar. An ancient legend has it that some wise men told people who wanted to find happiness that it was inside a yellow tulip. However, whatever they did, the bud didn't want to open. Then a little boy approached the tulip. When he saw it for the first time, he started smiling and was very glad. After that, the tulip bud couldn't help but open. It's considered that happiness appeared from that tulip.
Не выдержал и раскрылся. И считается, что из него появилось счастье.
According to another legend, red tulips are the blood of a young man who died because of love. As for yellow tulips, they're considered flowers of warmth, power, and belief in Asia. Echoes of these legends are contained in other poetic and historical stories. Once, Sultan Abu Sa'id was traveling in the steppe. Suddenly he saw a sea of tulips in front of him. They left his broken heart with a feeling of haplessness. "Oh, tulips, you look at us so bloodthirstily," he told them. Thanks to Almighty Allah, half of the reproaching tulips turned yellow. From the King's Resurrection Chronicle by Malik Shah Hussain Sistani. The Mughal Empire residents always used images of tulips. For example, you could see them in the palaces of Shah Jahan, Humayun, and in the Red Fort in Delhi.
Хумаюна или же в Ред Форт в Дели.
Moreover, a Turkic poet and writer, founder of the Indian Babur dynasty, often mentioned tulips in his famous work. The Aymaks and Turkic people went there in spring. There are a lot of tulips of different colors and kinds on mountain slopes. Once I ordered to count them, and it turned out there were 32 or 33 species of unusual tulips there. From the Babur Nama by Zahir al-Din Muhammad Babur. The most ancient finds of tulips images date from the 2nd to 4th centuries BC. Excavations of the Tenelevsky burial mound, which took place in Jetisu, revealed gold plates with tulip images on them. There is some more information about tulips. It's easy to recognize the patterns on the mausoleums of Aisha Bibi and the Khoja Ahmed Yasawi. It's a symbol of fertility and eternal revitalization of life in the Turkic tradition. If we talk about a tulip flower, we wish a person to always be beautiful and fresh like a tulip flower, which is beautiful and fragrant. If we talk about a chalice, we wish prosperity in your house. Kizgaldak Gul is one of the most popular Kazakh patterns. Wall carpets, towels, and clothes were often decorated with it. The color scheme is a present given by nature. It contains mainly red, yellow, orange, and claret-colored tones. If a girl wore a tulip-shaped or chalice-shaped ring, it meant she was betrothed. Tulip dances were always held during Kızıldak Mayrami, one of the ancient festivals. Epilogue. Look into my heart. Thanks to merciful God, raindrops fell abundantly and spring's eyes were full of water again. Silent river waves started talking, and a happy tulip threw a ruby hat towards the sky. A bud opened its mouth to smile and was intoxicated with the fragrance. For Sovereign's Edification by Khoja Samandar Timezi. Actually, human qualities were attributed to this flower. Strangely enough, there was a reason for this. Wild tulips are like a person's life. 60 years pass before the plants which grew from seeds start blooming. If you don't pick or dig out such a plant, it will start blooming in 15 years and continue doing so for 20, 30 or 40 years. Anna sighs, saying that the number of blooming flowers decreases every year. 18 species, which are half of Kazakhstan's wild-growing ones, have already been enlisted on the list of endangered species. In fact, a tulip or wild tulip is a trademark of Kazakhstan. It is a symbol of love, happiness, and harmony. The poetic lines of an ancient legend say this about the tulips. When a bud opens to the world, it whispers quietly, "I beg you to stop and think. Look into my heart. If you see yourself in it, you will understand what you live for."